From balls bouncing off spectators onto the green, to an incredible par save from a lake. These are the craziest escapes ever made in golf history. And first, we start with this incredible save. So, we find ourselves at Augusta National during the final round of the 2010 Masters. A player known for taking risks is about to face a decision that would define his career. Phil Mickelson has got a slim lead as he steps up to the 13th tee, one of Augusta's scariest par fives. Rays Creek guards the green like a moat around a castle. One bad shot and you're toast. So what does Phil do? Blasts his drive way right, completely missing the fairway. When he finds his ball, it's sitting in pine straw, that slippery stuff that gives you zero solid footing. And there are two massive trees directly between him and the green. Every ounce of golf common sense screams, "Punch it out sideways, dummy! Live to fight another hole!" But this is Phil we're talking about. The guy who thinks playing it safe is for people who don't have the guts to be great. His caddy bones gives him the cold, hard facts. 207 yards to the flag, 187 to clear the creek. The gap between those trees? Maybe as wide as a dinner plate? Okay, slight exaggeration, but you get the picture. He grabs his 6-iron, takes aim at that tiny gap, and makes the most fearless swing you'll ever see. The ball rockets through that window, his club head missing a tree by a whisker. The shot sails over the water, lands on the green, and stops just 4 feet from the hole. He missed the eagle putt, but tapped in for birdie to stay 2 ahead. That shot was Phil's entire career, packed into one swing. It carried him to his 3rd Masters win, and he became an instant legend in golf's greatest escapes. Moving down to number 15, we're transported back way before fancy golf apps and shot trackers. Here, a young Spanish hotshot got so lost on the course it actually made him famous. It's 1979 at Royal Lytham in St. Anne's, and 21-year-old Seve Ballesteros is trying to bag his first major championship. Ballesteros is up by 2 shots in the final round when he gets to the 16th hole. Hitting fairways wasn't exactly Seve's specialty that week. He'd found only 9 of them in the entire tournament. When he yanks that driver head cover off on the 16th tee, everyone gets that pit-in-the-stomach feeling. Sure enough, he blasts his tee shot so far right that fans are diving for cover as the ball sails into a temporary parking lot. The crowd rushes over to help find the ball. And where does it end up? Under a parked car. But here's where Sev catches a break. Since this makeshift parking area was technically part of the course, he gets a free drop away from the car. Even better, all those cars had been parked there all week, squashing the grass flat. Cool as a cucumber, he pulls off a ridiculous pitch shot that stops about 20 feet from the hole. Then he steps up to seal the deal. The putt starts rolling, tracking the whole way, and drops right in the heart for a birdie. From a parking lot. Ballesteros cruises to a 3-shot win and grabs his first major. That parking lot miracle wasn't just lucky. It was pure Seve magic. For number 14, we jump ahead to 2013 and find ourselves at Torrey Pines, where a certain superstar was in the process of rebuilding his mystique after years of struggle. What happened next proved the magic was still there. Tiger Woods is here, basically at his personal backyard with 7 previous wins there, cruising with a nice lead in the final round. On the 4th hole, Tiger's tee shot goes totally haywire and ends up behind a tree. We're not talking kinda near a tree. We're talking directly behind it, with branches hanging so low you'd need to crawl under them. Most players would just chip it sideways, but Tiger spots this tiny little gap, not even straight ahead, but way off to the right. He makes this funky swing and boom! The ball shoots out at a crazy angle to the right, then hooks like it's on a string, weaving between trees before bouncing its way toward the green. But he's not done yet. The ball stops short, so he still needs to get his approach shot close to the pin and save his par. With one smooth stroke, that ball rolls across the green, tracks toward the hole, and disappears for a birdie. The place goes nuts. Only he could pull that off. Classic Tiger, turning a total disaster into something just brilliant. Turning to number 13 on our countdown, we witness an unforgettable display of athletic golf at the 2021 Ryder Cup, when an American star faced a shot so difficult it required more than just good technique. It demanded a gymnast's balance and a daredevil's courage. At Whistling Straits, Jordan Spieth landed in a spot so bad, it looked like someone placed the ball there as a practical joke. Thomas's tee shot on the par 3 17th rolled just off the green, but just off doesn't tell the story. This ball ended up on a slope so steep, you'd need climbing gear to get to it. We're talking almost vertical with nothing but Lake Michigan waiting below. When Spieth got there, he literally had to jump up just to see where he was supposed to hit to. Everybody figured he'd just declare it unplayable and take a drop. Instead, he opens his stance super wide, plants his feet at this crazy angle, and takes what can only be described as a baseball swing. The force of it was so violent that his momentum immediately sent him stumbling backward down the hill after impact. As Spieth's fighting for his life not to tumble into the lake, the ball launches almost straight up. While he's doing this backward scramble down the slope, somehow keeping his feet, the ball lands feather soft on the green and stops just feet from the hole. The American crowd absolutely loses their minds. And just like that, what looked like total disaster turned into one of the greatest saves you'll ever see. Our next incredible escape comes from a man who's been defying Father Time for decades. At number 12, the 2010 Allianz Championship came down to a sudden death playoff between Bernhard Langer and John Cook. First playoff hole, Langer gets in serious trouble when his approach finds a greenside bunker. But this wasn't your standard bunker shot. His ball plugged into the face of the sand trap, buried so deep you could barely see half of it, about 45 feet from the pin. Meanwhile, Cook's sitting pretty. All he needs is a routine two-putt, and Langer would need a miracle just to make the next playoff hole. The crowd goes dead quiet as Langer sets up. With a quick splash into the sand, his ball pops up, lands on the green, and starts rolling toward the hole. Then something straight out of a movie happens. The ball keeps tracking, picks up speed, and drops right in the cup for an eagle. The normally robotic Langer loses his mind, dropping his club and jumping around like a kid on Christmas morning. When Cook missed his eagle attempt, Langer had snatched victory from the jaws of defeat with a shot that defied all logic. Moving to the 11th spot on our countdown, we find ourselves at Pinehurst in 2024, where the strongest player in golf is about to face his biggest fear on the game's biggest stage. By the time Bryson DeChambeau reached the 18th hole in the final round, he was hanging onto a slim lead and a chance at his second U.S. Open title. His approach shot misses the green and plunks into a bunker, leaving him with a nightmare 55-yard sand shot to a brutal pin position. But listen, here's the kicker. Earlier that year, Bryson had answered a Live Golf survey asking which shot gave him the most trouble. His answer? The 60-yard bunker shot. So DeChambeau studies the shot like he's defusing a bomb. He later described seeing just a tiny sliver of shiny sand about an inch and a half behind the ball. That's his target. The gallery holds its breath as Bryson splashes his club into the sand. The ball pops out beautifully, lands on the front edge, and releases toward the hole before stopping just 4 feet away. The crowd roars for what Bryson would later call the shot of my life. He rolls in the short par putt to clinch his second U.S. Open. What made this shot extra special wasn't just the clutch execution, but how it flipped the script on Bryson's image. The guy known as golf's mad scientist had pulled off a shot that was all about feel, touch, and artistry. As we hit our countdown at number 10, we journey to Scotland's fearsome Carnoustie golf links in 2007, where an Irishman was about to experience the most dramatic, emotional roller coaster in major championship history. Padraig Harrington walks onto the 18th hole, ominously nicknamed Home, with a one-shot lead over Sergio Garcia. This exact same hole had destroyed Van de Velde's dreams in 1999. The ghosts of that meltdown were practically visible in the Scottish air. Then, splash! His ball sails left, bounces just before a tiny bridge crossing the Barryburn, and then rolls off the edge into the water. After taking his drop, Harrington still has a chance to limit the damage. But then, you won't believe this? His third shot also finds the Barryburn at its next crossing. Are you kidding me? At this point, you're thinking his tournament is toast. But somehow, Harrington keeps his cool. After another drop, he hits a beauty to about 8 feet. This putt is for a double bogey 6. Still awful, but at least keeping him in the hunt. With nerves of steel, Harrington drains the putt. Now it's Sergio's turn. All he needs is a par on 18 to win his first major. He hits a perfect drive, but finds a bunker with his approach. After a smooth recovery, he's facing a 7-footer for par and the championship. Sergio's putt looks excellent the whole way, catches the edge, and spins out. Brutal. Suddenly, we're headed to a playoff, and Harrington, gifted new life, dominates the 4-hole overtime to become the first Irishman to win the Open in 60 years. And that's how Harrington avoided disaster. Well, to be honest, he didn't. But he avoided a total disaster when everything was falling apart. For our 9th amazing escape, we find a major champion thinking outside the box. or more accurately, outside the boundaries, at the 2024 Cognizant Classic, proving that sometimes the rules of golf can be your best friend. See, Justin Rose found his ball in a spot that would make most golfers just laugh and take a penalty. It was nestled right up against a green mesh boundary fence, separating the course from someone's backyard. Rose spotted a rules loophole that blew everyone's mind, since his ball was still technically in bounds, just barely inside the fence. And Rule 18.2 says you can actually stand out of bounds to play a ball that's in bounds. Rose could hop the fence, stand in some random person's yard, and hit the shot legally. What followed was honestly, something out of a golf sitcom. Rose climbs over the fence and positions himself in a stranger's backyard to play a ball that's still in bounds. The shot was ridiculous. He had zero backswing space, couldn't set his feet properly, and somehow needed to advance this ball 124 yards back toward the fairway. Rose punches the ball back into play, but he's not done with his adventure. He still needs to get up and down from 78 yards just to escape with par. His wedge shot from the fairway is absolute magic, landing inches from the hole on the first bounce before settling just 2 feet away. When he taps in, Rose has pulled off one of the most creative par saves you'll ever see. Now let's slide to number 8 on our list. The Zurich Classic got a makeover in 2017, becoming the PGA Tour's first team event in almost 4 decades. But the real drama came from Mother Nature and a guy who refused to let darkness kill his chances. Kevin Kisner and Scott Brown were battling the team of Jonas Blixt and Cameron Smith, but they were also racing against the setting sun. By the time they reached the 18th hole, it was basically nighttime. The only light came from electronic scoreboards glowing in the darkness. Kisner and Brown trailed by a shot playing the par 5 18th. After decent drives and layups, Kisner faced a pitch shot from about 40 yards. The green was soaking wet from the day's rain, making distance control a total guessing game. Plus, in the gathering darkness, he could barely make out the flagstick. But Kisner pulled off something magical. His chip skipped across the wet green, smacked the flagstick dead center, and dropped into the cup for an eagle. The crowd went bananas as Kisner threw his arms up in celebration, a shadowy figure barely visible in the darkness. That dramatic eagle forced a playoff, proving that sometimes you can hit your absolute best shots when you can barely see what you're doing. Coming in at lucky number 7, we fast forward to 2025 and a moment that had been 14 years in the making. After years of Masters heartbreak, could Rory McIlroy finally overcome the demons that had haunted his career? Let me explain. The 2025 Masters wasn't just a golf tournament for Rory McIlroy, it was his white whale, his Everest, the one thing that had eluded him for 14 agonizing years. The only major championship he needed to complete the career Grand Slam. Now in 2025, he finally seemed poised to exercise those demons, building a comfortable 5-shot lead with just 8 holes left in the final round. But Augusta National is golf's greatest drama queen. A bogey at 11, a chunked chip into the water at 13 for a double, another bogey at 14. Suddenly his lead evaporated. McIlroy somehow steadied himself, making clutch birdies at 15 and 17. But then Justin Rose drained an improbable 20-footer on 18 for birdie. Now Rory needed a par on the last to win. He lines up a 5-footer for the green jacket and misses. So now we're headed to a sudden death playoff, starting on the 18th hole, the very same hole where Rory just gagged a short putt moments earlier. Both players find the fairway with their drives. Rose hits first, putting his approach about 15 feet from the hole. Now McIlroy faces the exact same approach shot that led to his missed par putt just minutes ago. So with renewed focus, McIlroy pipes his approach shot. The ball soars through the Georgia sky and lands softly, rolling to just 4 feet from the cup. After Rose misses his birdie try, McIlroy faces another short putt, eerily similar to the one he'd botched earlier. This time, no mistake. When the ball drops, McIlroy lets out this primal scream and falls to his knees. It wasn't just technically perfect, it showed the mental toughness to bounce back from failure and nail essentially the same shot moments later. For our 6th greatest escape, we're transported to South Africa in 2014, where one player decided that the rules designed to help him were actually just getting in the way of a truly spectacular shot. During the 2014 Volvo Golf Champions, Charles Schwartzel found his ball resting directly on a concrete cart path. The rules of golf are clear. You get free relief from cart paths. almost every player just takes the free drop and moves on. But Schwartzel decided to play the ball right off the concrete. The risks? Potentially destroying his club, the ball shooting off in some random direction, and the fact that any tiny mistake gets magnified. But wait, it gets better. Schwartzel wasn't just trying to advance the ball down the fairway. No, this madman was attempting to hit a 5-iron over 200 yards directly to the green. When club meets concrete, there's this loud clank sound and actual sparks fly from beneath his club. The ball rockets off the path, drawing beautifully through the air toward the green. The shot lands softly on the putting surface and rolls right up near the hole, stopping just a few feet away. And here's the crazy part. After pulling off one of the most ridiculous shots ever seen, Schwartzel then missed the birdie putt. The anticlimax, as it would be called. So, moving to number 5 on our countdown, we have one of the strangest and most dramatic sequences ever seen in a major championship. The 2017 Open at Royal Birkdale gave us a rescue mission like no other. Jordan Spieth's tee shot on the par 4 13th sailed so far right, you couldn't even see the fairway from where he ended up. This thing sailed over massive dunes, completely out of sight. Then, I warn you, this is ridiculous, Spieth, his caddy and rules official spent 20 minutes wandering over dunes, debating where he could take his drop. Finally, they settled on a drop point that was comically far from the hole, all the way back on the practice range behind some equipment trucks. Spieth was literally about to play his 3rd shot from a practice area that wasn't even part of the golf course. After this 20-minute odyssey, Spieth finally hit his shot from the driving range, over dunes, back toward the hole. Somehow he advanced it near the green and got up and down for a bogey. But wait, I haven't told you the most insane part yet. Rather than crumbling, Spieth caught absolute fire. His next 4 holes were like a golf fever dream. Nearly a hole-in-one at 14, a monster 48-foot eagle putt at 15, another long birdie putt at 16, and yet another birdie at 17. This ridiculous birdie-eagle-birdie-birdie run turned what looked like a legendary collapse into a comfortable 3-shot victory. It was one of the most dramatic turnarounds ever seen in a major championship. Our 4th most incredible escape takes us to the 2001 NEC Invitational, where a 7-hole playoff between 2 of the game's greatest players produced a bunker shot that defied all logic and probability. Jim Furyk and Tiger Woods went toe-to-toe for 7 exhausting extra holes. The high drama peaked on the very first playoff hole. Furyk found serious trouble when his approach shot splashed into a greenside bunker. Furyk's first attempt from the sand was a complete disaster. The ball hit the lip of the bunker and rolled right back to his feet. He's now hitting his 4th shot from the exact same spot, with Tiger safely on the green looking at a routine par. To extend the playoff, Furyk would have to hole this bunker shot. The odds? About the same as finding a unicorn in your backyard. Standing in the same spot where he'd just failed miserably, Furyk adjusted his technique and took another swing. This time, the ball popped out perfectly, landed on the green, and rolled straight into the heart of the cup for the most unlikely par save imaginable. The gallery erupted as Furyk charged onto the green, pumping his fist like he'd just won a major. The battle raged on for 5 more holes, with both players pulling off remarkable escapes, before Tiger finally ended the marathon with a birdie. We're now climbing into our top 3, and at number 3, we find one of the most surreal moments ever captured on a golf broadcast. The year was 2013, and what one Spanish player did at Bay Hill was, well, I'll show you. Sergio Garcia's tee shot on the 10th hole got stuck in a tree. Not behind a tree, not under a tree. In a tree, lodged in the branches about 15 feet off the ground. For 99.9% of golfers, this is an automatic penalty drop. But Sergio isn't most golfers. When he spotted his ball clearly visible in the tree, the gears in his head started turning. I can't even believe what I'm narrating right now. I don't even want to imagine what the viewers must have been thinking. Garcia started positioning himself in the tree like he was about to. Wait, he's not really going to... He is. Sergio was going to play the ball directly from its perch in the branches. With just one hand on the club, he made a backward swing and somehow made clean contact. The ball dropped magically back to the fairway. Mission impossible. Accomplished. Just as impressive was his dismount. After pulling off this circus act, Sergio climbed down from the tree with such athletic grace, you'd think the next sport he'd try was gymnastics. Now we're getting to the really good stuff. Our second most incredible escape takes us to the 2012 Masters playoff, where a self-taught lefty with a pink driver was about to invent a shot that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The 2012 Masters came down to a sudden death playoff between Bubba Watson and Louis Oosthuizen. Bubba's drive drifted way right, missing the fairway by miles. His ball was buried in pine straw in the trees, with absolutely no direct path to the green. Instead of the safe play, Bubba spotted a small gap that would require him to curve the ball like a banana, hooking it around 40 yards from right to left. In a practice round? Maybe worth a try for fun. In a major championship playoff? Absolute madness. The gallery went silent as Bubba stood over the ball. His swing was pure Bubba, long, flowing, and nothing like what they teach in golf school. At impact, he deliberately closed the club face, putting massive right-to-left spin on the ball. The crowd gasped as the ball completed its 40-yard hook, landed softly on the green, and rolled to within 15 feet of the hole. Though Bubba missed the birdie putt, his par was enough to win when Oosthuizen bogeyed. That miraculous recovery from the trees had earned Watson his first green jacket. The shot earned the perfect nickname, the Bubba Hook. It's now part of Masters lore and the perfect example of how creative thinking can turn disaster into opportunity. And finally, we arrive at number 1, the most incredible escape in golf history. In 2012, at Jack Nicklaus's Memorial Tournament. And who do we have here? None other than the one and only Tiger Woods. Tiger's tee shot sailed long and right, finding nasty, thick rough behind the green. When he got there, he faced an absolute nightmare. A downhill lie in juicy rough with hardly any green to work with and water lurking just beyond the hole. Instead of playing it safe, Tiger opened the face of his 60-degree wedge to an almost ridiculous angle, essentially turning the club sideways. He was going for a full-blown flop shot, launching the ball almost straight up with barely any forward movement. Even in practice, this shot is super risky. Under tournament pressure, with water waiting to swallow any mistake, it was borderline crazy. As Tiger took his stance, you could feel the electricity in the air. The shot launched almost vertically, climbing high into the Ohio sky before starting to drop. The ball landed with perfect softness on the front part of the green, took a couple of small bounces, and started tracking toward the hole. When it disappeared into the cup for a birdie, the crowd absolutely went wild. Tiger gave one of his classic uppercut fist pumps. Jack Nicklaus, watching from just off the green, stood there shaking his head in amazement. That birdie on 16 carried Tiger to victory, his 73rd PGA Tour win, tying Nicklaus on the all-time wins list at Jack's own tournament. Beyond the numbers and records, this shot sent a message. It announced that Tiger Woods, the artist, the escape artist, the magician, was back. Not just a technically solid golfer grinding out scores, but the creative genius who could do the impossible when it mattered most. Oh, and now you're still with us. We have another great golf video for you to watch, right in the middle of the screen. Enjoy!